What's good, ladies and gents? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and today we're going to take a quick look at Violent Mizu. So Violent Mizu is the second monster in the title update. It's the one directly after Flame and Espinasse, and it's another fire Mizutsune. I mean, this makes three. Soul Seer, Apex, and now Violent, but it is what it is. You know, let's not look at it for like another fire Mizu, but let's look at it in its own merit. So that's what we're gonna do. So first, before we get to all the juicy extra stuff, let's start off the top with its elemental weaknesses. That is ice. It is more weak to ice than that of thunder, but thunder is also a pretty solid one as well. But I really recommend ice, meaning if you've been following suit thus far with Flaming Espinasse, Luna Garen weapons are going to smash yet again. I don't know what it is, but me and Luna Garen, I love his weapons. His gear is amazing, but ice is gonna take you far in this particular fight as well. Speaking of going pretty far, this monster itself is actually pretty relentless, much like that of the Flaming Espinasse, where it actually likes to really throw its body at you, stay in your face, make it very difficult for you to actually get anything done. The Violent Mizu is the exact same way. He has a whole new way to actually move around the field. Now, it is still sliding and whatnot, but it used to be sliding on like soapy bubbles. Now he's sliding on gasoline. Like literally, it's hilarious because now you can literally say that my man is gas. So outside of him sliding around on the gasoline, he can use this ability to move as a Mizu does, to combo and everything. But with the newfound power of him using gasoline to actually have fire and also that of explosions, it makes things a little bit difficult because as he's sliding around, and he'll usually circle you when he does slide around, in the wake when he's leaving the gasoline, it'll cause it'll leave puddles that will lead to additional fire and explosions. So it can kind of get kind of wonky, but the fire itself doesn't truly happen until he goes what I lovingly refer to as the Mozilla Firefox install, because you know Mozilla Firefox, it's a fox. I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter. I didn't come up with a slang term or whatever, but I like the name Mozilla Firefox. Anyway, so once he actually goes into particular installed state, the fire state, the charge up state or whatever, that's when all the fire truly really and earnestly happens. That's when the gasoline turns into actual fire puddles. That's when he does the beams that leave fire in and of itself. That's when all the fire happens. All the fire stuff happens once it's actually installed. So the thing about his fire attacks is that they come from the bubbles and the gasoline left behind, so he can still do the bubbles. Now the bubbles this time around, they're actually a lot cooler. They take on different properties from the standard bubbles. Before, he would just kind of throw the bubbles out and kind of hang around, linger, do whatever, but this time around the bubbles, they all have a singular purpose. The purpose is to do whatever it tells it to do. So he can actually make a large bubble, and that bubble will actually kind of float in the air a little bit, then it will splinter off in 3 to 5 I believe smaller bubbles, and then they'll attack in a wave pattern in front of him. There's another one where they'll kind of track you a little bit. Now he has two different type of tracking bubbles. He has one where he does make the big bubble again, and then they'll track, we call them missiles. They'll track directly to a spot in front of him as well. You have the actual tracking bubbles where they're actual just a bunch of bubbles hanging around his body that will track you, very akin to that of 3U Stitch and Ogre. I say 3U Stitch and Ogre because Stitch and Ogre hasn't had tracking fireballs, tracking Dragon Balls that had tracked as well as these did since 3U. So that's another thing to actually worry about when it comes to fighting him as well. Outside of the beam that he always has, that he's always had, where the beam now it can be shot from the electric slide, it can be shot from side to side, it can be shot standard. It's the beam. Also from that beam, you can get caught in a lot of meaty situations because there's so much fire left on the ground. Watch out for that. So when he does leave the fire from the gasoline spin cycle everywhere, kind of watch out where you traverse the area when he starts throwing the beam out, because you can still get caught in the fire and still take damage from it. I think one more bubble attack he has is like a, do you remember the bubble that he had before where it was like a really strong bubble, like a real, like he has that same thing but this time it's fire. Basically everything that Mizu already had in standard G rank form gets transferred over here as well. So if you fought G rank Mizu already, a lot of this can seem kind of familiar, but let's talk about the things that are quite different. Let's talk about my man's Nova. Now the Nova he has can again only be done when he's in his Mozilla Firefox state. So Violent Mizu, when he actually does it, he will, the camera don't pan out a bit, but you'll see him, he'll dance around real quick, whatever. You'll see the blue flame, is it blue flame? Whatever, you see the blue flame, you'll see the flame fly around all over the place, and then he'll construct a giant bubble that will slowly rise into the sky. Also lovingly referred to as a spirit bomb, but whatever. Anyway, he'll put this up, and the thing is, it doesn't come down and explode immediately. He will make the bubble, and then he'll continue fighting you. Now, it is of the absolute importance that you do as much damage to him as possible during this particular state. The thing is, he's not going to make it easy for you. We just discussed how relentless he is and how he likes to stay in your face. But this time, he kind of likes to stay relentless, but also play a little bit of a lame game. He tries to actually avoid you in some cases. I've had to a couple of times where I fought him where that was the case, where he avoided you for the most part. It made me think that was in his AI to do that, but there's also instances where he kind of tends to fight as normal. But regardless, that you need to do as much damage to him as you can when he does this. If you do this, it will actually drop the Nova Bomb, whatever, the Spirit Bomb on himself. Now, how you know it's actually done correctly is when you're fighting him, he gets pushed out of it. Like, it's where you'll see the bomb, it'll go from blue to like red, it'll hit him because he lost control of it, and then he immediately gets knocked out of the install. It does a huge amount of damage. Heck, most times when he actually does the Nova, he does it close to a point of him being dead, so sometimes the Nova Bomb itself can actually kill him if he gets hit by it. So there's a couple of different other things to note about him before we go over to the skills and the armor and whatnot. That he is very susceptible to like being sat still. I would recommend you guys hitting with a lot of paralysis. Bring a bunch of traps so that way you can actually keep him still, so you can do as much damage as you can to him. He still has all the wonky hitboxes, especially with the claws and whatnot, so you kind of want to take care of those things so that way you actually have something to hit off of. Actually, I think that's about it. A lot of people said that Mizu is actually a lot easier to fight, but the thing that I have the most problems with is that because he can move around so much faster now and has all these additional properties on top of his bubbles, he has a lot of meaty setup, a lot of okizeme, a lot of oki setups where he'll hit you with one thing, and then as you're trying to recover from that one thing, there's already something literally in your face, and then you can do either take the L or take the L. But outside of that, let's talk about the gear briefly, because the only thing you really need to note about it is his new ability. His new skill is called Embolden. Embolden is, for lack of a better term, think of Defiance, which is an ability when a monster gets really mad, your defense goes up, and you know, a bunch of cool things. Basically defense and Rocksteady. And also think of Taunt, where the monster pays more attention to you. Embolden is basically Defiance and Taunt kind of put together, but let's actually circle that around a little bit. So Embolden, when the monster, Embolden works is like this. The monster will more often not target you and get mad quicker. So when this happens, you have a defense increase of up to, I think, like 40, and you also have basically guard 4. Kind of weird, very weird kind of mix of abilities, honestly, but it can really help for people like let's say people who aren't completely dedicated to guarding, like unlike that of like Lance use, so maybe like a charge blade user, a sword and shield user, or whatever. But it makes it cool to note that when the monster does get mad, you have greater ability to actually fend him off by actually staying alive. So that's kind of cool. It's a very interesting ability. It's an ability that, if anything, I'm more concerned to see how it works with the lance and whatnot. But one thing I am able to discern rather for you guys, that it does not stack. So if you were to use Embolden, which essentially gives you I missed this other part to it. It gives you evasion 4 as well. I forgot about that part. It's 2 skills in one. It gives you evasion 4 and guard 4 in one. So let's say you were to actually have Embolden activate and you already have like guard 5, you're not going to get guard 9, okay? The guard 5 is going to overwrite the guard 4, and all you get is guard 5 and evasion 4 with the 40 defense. It's a pretty cool skill. It's something that I actually want to play around a little bit personally, because I do like defense, I do like defensive play, I like using it on lances and whatnot, so I'm going to run that. Outside of that, the entire set itself is actually geared towards making sure the monster gets mad at you, and you it can combine like 3 or 4 skills at the same time. So you also get Agitator, so you get the defensive form and you get the offensive form. It's pretty cool, honestly. So the set all on its own is really, really good. The full set is great. I'd recommend wearing it. Honestly, I'm probably going to do that as well. It's just a very, very, very tough set to get. It requires a ton of mantles from, I think, Almadron, Violent Mizu itself, Rathalos, and I think Anjanath, like 4 different gems or 4 mantles. I think maybe even 5, but whatever. It's kind of tough to get, but its armor, its weapons are pretty solid. Of course, they're fire weapons, but the thing to take away from all of this, because we have a ton of fire weapons already, is that these things have a ton of natural purple sharpness, and because the flagship monster is going to have a particular weapon type for every weapon, so no matter what weapon you actually use, there's a weapon for you. So outside of that, that's pretty much all I can really say about Violent Mizu. I know this one isn't as concrete, like as concise, full of like all kind of over used up information over, and when I lay it on rules, how I lay it on thick. But I have to also double back and make the Chameleos video as well. So I'm trying a new thing where I do this like really fast. I write all these things down and I just kind of spitfire it out, so that way you guys get it bing bang boom, no hustle, no fuss. We make it quick and easy for you guys. But yeah, with that said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Violent Mizu's pretty good. Get the gear is real solid. The fight can be kind of annoying, but at the end of the day, I'm sure everyone can come out with the dub. Take care. I'll see you on the Mizu, which might come out tomorrow. Peace.